It's been an extraordinary year in cinema, and narrowing down a list of our top films to only 5 is virtually impossible. But we tried anyway. Whether you're seeking to laugh, cry, marvel, or lose your mind, we've got a film that's sure to please. Here are 5 must-see movies of 2023. 5. Past Lives. Since its Sundance debut in January, writer-director Celine Song's debut feature has been buzzed about as one of the best of the year. Those outside of the Park City Festival bubble got to weigh in, and this romantic movie lives up to the hype. Greta Lee, who also appears in such buzzy 2023 gems as Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse and Problemista, stars as Nora, a Korean-American playwright who reconnects with her childhood sweetheart from Seoul over a couple of heady days in New York City. Long walks and long talks scratch at the scab of what could have been, as the two share an exciting chemistry. But life is complicated. Specifically, Nora is already married to the rumpled but charming Arthur, played by John Magaro. So, will these long-lost lovers reignite their would-be romance, or would they have to wait for another life? 4. Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse. In a year that doled out underwhelming Marvel sequels and wonky Disney live-action remakes, Sony wowed us with the much-anticipated follow-up to the Oscar-winning animated hit Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse slings audience back into the fray with Miles Morales, voiced by Shameik Moore, Gwen Stacy, voiced by Haley Stenfield, and Peter B. Parker, voiced by Jake Johnson. This Spidey Society is run by Miguel O'Hara, Oscar Isaac, who has the ability to travel between universes to squash the residual mayhem of the first film's villain. But a new foe arises who threatens everything Miles holds dear. Despite some harrowing producer behavior behind the scenes, directors Joaquim Dos Santos, Kemp Powers, and Justin K. Thompson expand the Spider family by hundreds, inviting fans into a web of wondrous heroes and villains, including the scene-stealing Spider-Punk, voiced by Daniel Kaluuya. Mixing wildly different animation styles, this stupendous sequel risks becoming too much. Instead, it's exhilaratingly extra, unabashedly packed with style, action, Easter eggs, and plenty of heart. If you only see one movie this year twice, make it this one. 3. Oppenheimer. As a director, Christopher Nolan has always been fascinated by brilliant, tormented men. Think The Prestige's dueling magicians, Inception and Interstellar's dream thieves and astronauts fighting to rejoin their families, or even the embattled Batman of his Dark Knight trilogy. So it's no surprise that the life of J. Robert Oppenheimer, father of the atomic bomb, yields Nolan's finest and most devastating work yet. Here is a man whose brilliance led to a lifetime of torment, both for himself and for the entire world, a fact Nolan never shies away from. In typical Nolan fashion, Oppenheimer is epic in scope, delivering jaw-dropping shots of New Mexico vistas, dancing particles, and of course, the fateful Trinity test. But it's the film's third act that hits the hardest, as the weight of the Manhattan Project reverberates through time, extending past Oppenheimer's life and into our present. With an unflinching focus on Oppenheimer's flaws and a haunting lead performance from Cillian Murphy, Oppenheimer becomes part tragedy, part horror movie, and entirely unforgettable. 2. Killers of the Flower Moon. For over 50 years, Martin Scorsese has challenged audiences by exploring the underbelly of crime in America with films like Mean Streets, Goodfellas, Casino, The Wolf of Wall Street, and Gangs of New York. While many of his movies allowed audiences into the vicarious thrill of being a swaggering gangster, Killers of the Flower Moon embeds us with the titular murders to reveal how we might be complicit in the white supremacy that gave cover to a conspiracy to commit genocide against the Osage people in the early 1920s. Based on David Grann's nonfiction book, Killers of the Flower Moon, The Osage Murders and the Birth of the FBI, Scorsese's film focuses on the marriage between regal Osage heiress Molly Burkhart, played by riveting Lily Gladstone, and her gold-digging husband, Ernest, played by Leonardo DiCaprio. Their romance is swiftly but solidly established, making for all the horrors that happen around it to be all the more harrowing. Scorsese is frank in the film's violence, but by way of an inventive epilogue that includes a deeply personal touch, he strives to give a clear focus to how this tragedy speaks to America today. Rich in detail, Killers of the Flower Moon is a hard watch, but one essential for those who aren't versed in its historical horrors, and truly one of Scorsese's best yet. One of our most anticipated movies of the year, Poor Things met our sky-high expectations with its Frankenstein makeover, full of whimsy, wonder, weirdness, and unapologetic horniness. Based on Alasdair Gray's 1992 novel of the same name, Poor Things' resurrected corpse is the beguiling Bella Baxter, played by Emma Stone, who has a grown woman's body, a child's mind, and a ravenous desire to know the world. This makes her more than a mad scientist father figure, played by Willem Dafoe, can handle. So, off she goes on a globe-trekking fling with a devil-may-care but hot-as-hell rogue played by Mark Ruffalo with a winsome gusto. Helmed by the same creative team as The Favorite, with writer Tony McNamara and director Yorgos Lanthimos, Poor Things is mercilessly witty while unfurling a tale of human discovery and inhumane realities. A behind-the-scenes team of remarkable artists fills every frame with something beautiful and repulsive, be it costumes whose colors refer to gross anatomy or set designs that are comically phallic. Poor Things is an awe-striking visual feast that satisfies the eyes, tantalizes the loins, and feeds the soul.